Good day to you. I hope you're well. I'd like to share some thoughts on stuff that was banging around in my head yesterday. I was at a Zoom-based Bishop's Study Day yesterday. Thankfully not all day, just an hour. But they had a very, very interesting thinker and speaker. And she was making the observation that one of the ironies of our culture is this gap between desire and fulfillment, that in our consumerist economic model there's this constant stimulus of desire with the idea that you can have everything you want. And of course we have this idea, this aspiration that if we get our £1 million, then we'll be set, we'll be fine, we'll be well. Of course, it's rubbish, and I don't know if you've experienced this, but I know every step towards what I desire, I get what I want, that's fine, but in some sense it isn't what I want. There's always an unquenched longing somewhere in there. And rather obviously, the point that was being drawn out is this unquenched longing, this desire that we have that doesn't seem to ever find its fulfillment in the life we lead, is ultimately our desire for God, is ultimately our desire for unity with Him. Hence, ultimately, if we wish to quench the longing of our heart, then the task is to keep a continued focus, a continued attentiveness to the God who calls us into Himself. I mixed that up this morning in my devotions with Psalm 1, which is the psalm for today. If you follow the Book of Common Prayer, it says this: "Blessed is the one who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the seat of sinners, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. But their delight is in the law of the Lord, and on His law he meditates day and night. He's like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. In all that he does, he prospers. The wicked are not so. They are like chaff that the wind drives away. Therefore the wicked will not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked will perish." Now what's very striking is the writer is talking about the way to be rooted in this world is to root yourself. In this case he's saying the law of the Lord, basically the Bible. Now I don't know how long you've ever tried working with the Bible, but the Bible, rather weirdly, is not as rooted as we'd like to think. It's not like an IKEA map of how to construct a cupboard, where there's join A to B and C to D and stick X to Y, and lo and behold you end up with a cupboard. Fulfillment arrives in the shape of a cupboard in place because you followed the instructions. The Bible itself is weirdly transient in some ways. You start at the beginning, and although there's a consistent theme and story, you often, when you connect with the Bible, are not left with as much clarity as you want. You get some nuggets and God comes to you, and then other times you're still chewing over questions and concerns for years. I mean, interestingly, of course, this tree that meditates on this person that meditates on the law of the Lord day and night, he's a tree planted by streams of water, and these streams are always moving. So what does that give us? It gives us this sense that actually if we want to become stable, if we want to grow, if we want to shade others, then actually there's a sense where we have to root ourselves into this living, breathing, moving, changing, confusing even thing we call the Bible. That's really odd, isn't it? That actually you'd have thought that satisfaction for our unquenched longings would be in complete understanding, the building of the cupboard through following the instructions. And actually, we're being called into something that is less secure, perhaps, than the IKEA map of how to build a cupboard. And yet, we're being told that this is what stabilises us. This is what enables us to grow, allowing ourselves to be in that place of constant question, of constant seeking, of constant rooting in that journey of faith. It is weird, isn't it? Join me in it. It's what I do every day. I ain't got there yet. And let's continue to long for God.